My Singing Monsters is a game that I've played for over half of my life, and I've enjoyed pretty much all of it. I've been here for countless updates with all sorts of new monsters, islands, features, and more, and this game has evolved so much. Even after 10 whole years of consistent new content in the game, they've just announced a whole year full of content, updates, and exciting features to celebrate the anniversary. With over 300 monsters inhabiting over 25 unique worlds, an amazing community full of people who are still playing the game, completing update after update showing their creativity with custom monsters, islands, and songs, and an amazing and dedicated team behind the game that we all enjoy, My Singing Monsters shows no signs of slowing that down. With all of that said, this is the evolution of My Singing Monsters. On August 24th, 2012, My Singing Monsters version 1.0.0 was released in Canada. The game was completely different from what we know today. Plant and Cold Island were the only islands available at this time, but in the following months, multiple updates were added. These include the introduction of Air Island, Water Island, the ability to visit Friends Islands, the first ever Spooktacle celebration, Gold Island, Extravaganza, Wobbox on Plant Island, and Earth Island. As soon as it was released, My Singing Monsters saw some moderate success, and it stayed that way for about a year as it was getting the updates I just mentioned. But this was nothing compared to what the game would see as its first anniversary happened. In August of 2013, the game absolutely exploded in popularity, reaching heights of up to 10 times what it was just 1 year before. I believe the main reason for this game blowing up at this time was thanks to the insane amount of advertising they did. I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but I remember back when I was a little kid in 2012 to 2014, where it seemed like almost 50% of the ads I would see online or on games were for My Singing Monsters, and that's what eventually led me to download the game. So clearly their strategy was working. And as this was all happening, the game saw its first anniversary month celebration. This was accompanied by version 1.2.0. This was an exciting update including Ethereal Island, and with it introducing the teleportation mechanic. There obviously was also shards, but also the hotel and storage were first added in this update. Big Blue Bubble is working so hard on updates during the first year that looking back on it, it's hard to believe that they were able to make such a large amount of content in such a short amount of time. And it's no wonder why the game was so successful and everyone loved it so much around that time. In September of 2014, we saw the second anniversary of My Singing Monsters, and along with it came version 1.3.0. This update added a huge feature that is still being updated to this day: rare monsters. We also saw Wobbox on Ethereal Island, which even today is a challenge, and back then, with less ways to obtain most currencies, this would have been extremely difficult. Throughout the third year of the game's life, we saw the addition of globes, bonus breeding structure and nursery, level cap increased from 30 to 60, the addition of Tribal Island, which was a huge thing for the game at the time because it was a way of interacting with the community in a way that wasn't possible before. The Star Shot was also added, and of course much more stuff. At this point in time, the game's updates slowed down a little bit, but we still did get a bunch of exciting new updates. During Festival of Yay, we saw the rare Wobbox for the first time ever, which was something that players had speculated on for a while.
Wake up the Wublins, wake up the Wublins. Wake up the Wublins, wake up the Wublins. Watcha.
On March 24th, 2016, Wublin Island was added to the game with version 1.4.0. There were only 5 Wublins at first, those of which being Brump, Zinth, Thwok, Poke, and Drumroll. Wublin Island was immediately a fan favorite and loved by everyone. The song was great, the monsters were also unique, and the zapping mechanic was fresh and new, and it was nice to have something different. Shortly after, we saw rare ethereals being added. Next up, we have the first update that a large amount of players were not necessarily going crazy about. In version 1.4.2, we saw Dipsters being added for the first time. In my opinion, the dipsters just don't really go well with the song, especially the Plant Island ones, and I think a lot of people agree on that. The game is now 4 years old, and to celebrate, a huge update was released. Version 2.0.0 was out, and it came with 5 mirror islands, and many of the menus and buttons have been updated, which caused the game to look much more modern. In version 2.0.3, Composer Island was put into the game. This was a massive success, and Composer Island has been used by many people in the community as a tool to create their own songs or covers of popular songs. Some of the things that people were able to accomplish with Composer Islands were incredible. Some people were so talented and skilled that they could make songs that sounded like they could have been official islands. And looking at the top 10 Composer Islands in the game is always a fun thing to do. In 2.0.4, Wardo's Parosona and Chakra were added to the game on Plant Island, and this completely changed up the song as we never had any words in the songs, and unlike the dipsters, the Wardos actually seemed like they fit into the song and improved it. So for the first few years of the game, I've been mentioning most of the smaller changes because I wanted to document the first few years more, but from now on I'll only be mentioning the larger updates so this video isn't an hour long. During the 5th anniversary, we saw the addition of Wubbox on Wobblen Island, the mailbox feature, and other improvements. In version 2.1.8, we saw the addition of the spin wheel, as well as a new memory game design. In 2.2.1, we saw Celestial Island being added. With the 6th anniversary, we saw version 2.2.2, including a new Celestial Scartar Starshop decorations and 2 hotel upgrades. In version 2.2.4, we saw a huge change to the game, and it was one of the most unique islands in a long time. This was Firehaven. We saw 8 fire hybrids, including Kana in the My Singing Monsters game, and the introduction of the carousel map. In version 2.3.0, we saw the next Fire Island, Fire Oasis, bringing new fire monsters and natural rares on Firehaven. Now, during the 7th anniversary, something exciting happened. They announced the 3rd Fire Island, Fire Frontier, and they said that the elements of the island would be plant, water, and fire, and the 4th element would have been voted on by the community. But at the end, they surprised us and revealed that it actually was Psychic Island and there was no 3rd Fire Island. This was the first magical island, and it was a start to most of the big updates for the next few years. A few months later, we saw Fairy Island being added to the game, and a few months later, Bone Island, and then Crystalline Castles in version 2.4.1, the Colosseum in version 3.0.0 for the 8th anniversary, Light Island in version 3.0.1, also in the anniversary month, and Magical Sanctum in 3.1. My Singing Monsters was adding island after island during this time, and it was an extremely fun time to be a My Singing Monsters fan, especially while the monsters were being released on Magical Sanctum. In the 9th anniversary month, we saw a seasonal shanty be revealed and released. With 3.4.0 came Amber Island. Now, all of this history brings us up to September 2022, where we saw version 3.7, which increased the level cap from 75 to 100, it improved the memory game, and added a rebake feature. More recently, we saw version 3.7.1 after seeing a teaser after teaser for a month. Mythical Island was finally revealed with brand new Dream Mythical Monsters. And that's pretty much it for the evolution of My Singing Monsters. I know I've enjoyed playing this game a lot over the years, and I know that millions of people have had the same experience.